Mack story one more time, chapter 27. And we're going to continue from the do it better than is expected, do it sooner than is expected. And today we're on chapter 27, do it better than expected. Go the second mile. What does that mean? Do your job better than you're expected to do it. Keep the area clean. You know, it's so easy. A lot of times, especially companies who are doing lean manufacturing, that sort of stuff, you've heard of 5S or 6S. People are expected to keep their areas clean. Even then, a lot of people don't keep it clean. So doing it better than is expected is to actually keep it clean. Especially if you're not expected to keep it clean. Clean it up. If you are expected to keep it clean, but go above and beyond that. Ask for some paint to paint something when no one's telling you to paint it. Ask for some labels. Make some labels. Go find the labels yourself. Do things like that to improve your area. But do better than is expected. What does that mean? It could mean use an abundance mindset to help other people. It could be volunteering. Whenever you're volunteering, like we talked about before, you're doing your job better than is expected. You're expected to do your job, but can you do it better than is expected? I remember one work sale I used to work in. There was 3 of us, one on each shift, and I worked the night shift. And actually, I was on that shift when I told you about the guy who come in chapter 2. We talked about the guy who believed in me, and then I started going to college and all that because he was out doing a work study on my machine. But in that specific machine sale, the people on first shift and second shift, they usually run 100% production, or not really 100. Usually it was around 90 to 100. And you would think that's great. But the problem was the rates on our routings were wrong. And so you could run it more than 100%. You shouldn't be able to, but when the routing, if it says it takes you 5 minutes to run a part, but you really can run it in 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, let's make it even, it would show up as 200% production. Not every part was like that, but a lot of them were. So these people on the other shifts, they would come in and they would calculate what was expected, what was 100%. And that was their goal for the day, to try to achieve 100%. I did just the opposite. I come in with intent to do all that I could do, which I knew was more than was expected because people expected us to do 100%. So I would come in and I would work. I would be very efficient. And again, I led teams through process improvement later on in my life. But I loved it when I was an operator. I did it in my own area, in my little world that I could control. And I could do changeovers much faster than everyone else because I was very efficient at it. And I could think ahead and plan ahead, and it made me very, very efficient. So I would just work all night at being very efficient. Then at the end of the night, I would calculate up what I had actually done. I didn't set a goal and try to do it. My goal was to do all I could do every night. And I would average about 160% production for a week. And these folks would average 90 to 100, the other two. That's why the guy was out studying me. He wanted to know what was I doing different. All I was doing was working 8 hours instead of working 5 or 6 hours and then going to the restroom and the break room and going over to talk to somebody and all that stuff. I just worked. That was all I'd done different, was I actually worked 8 hours. And it shouldn't be that way, but it was that way. I was doing things better than expected. And it increased my influence tremendously. Like I said, I got promoted 14 times in those 20 years in my corporate life. Things like that got me there. The other people, they would actually tell me, the other operators, they'd come in the morning, one of them would, and he'd say, "Why are you always making us look bad?" And I wasn't the nice guy like I am today, and I would say a little sarcastically, I'd say, "I just want to thank you for making me look good." And he'd be like, "What do you mean? You want to thank me for making you look good?" I said, "Oh, yeah, man. If you'd actually work 8 hours, we'd look the same. And I wouldn't look like I'm doing an amazing job. I would look average. But since you don't do anything half the day, I look exceptional. So I just want to thank you." And that's not who I am today. I wouldn't say anything like that. But back when I was in my early 20s and mid-20s, I was very arrogant, and that I didn't like people who wouldn't do a good job, and I would tell everybody. But I would always do a good job, so I shouldn't have been promoted a lot of times. I should have been fired a lot of times. But because I'd done a good job and I didn't have a lot of high impact leaders, they valued productivity, not character. So I was able to be that way and still to excel. But I learned as I grew, I started helping more people. And today that's all I do. So I've been on a growth journey. I hadn't been who I seem to be today my entire life. I was somebody different. If you want to learn all that, read my book, Defining Influence. And this one is over for the day, and we'll move on next time. So stay at it. Do things sooner than expected. It'll increase your influence every time.